Hello everyone, this is Hariraj again, CEO at NWORX. Just to do a quick recap on what we covered in the first couple of editions of Leadership Studio. We spoke about gap between goal setting and actual performance in our first edition. We spoke a bit about the hype around performance and performance products in the enterprise space. We spoke about what's the difference between goal setting and really goal achievement or the performance itself. In the next edition, we spoke about the bridge. What could be a potential bridge to goal achievement? What's the single biggest element to bridge that gap in leadership goal achievement? Today, I want to start speaking about how to build that bridge to goal achievement. Once we understand that there is a gap that needs to be very deliberately bridged, then we have to start to think in terms of what are the various elements involved in it. In our last edition, we spoke about one critical element, preparation. So today, let's touch on two significant aspects of that bridge. One from a bird's eye view, and another down in the weeds, what needs to happen day in and day out when it comes to goal achievement. Let's start with what is it that the leaders do? What kind of activities do they actually do when they are thinking, leading, and doing? We need to start to think about thinking, leading, doing as a basic unit of goal achievement amongst leaders. When I refer to thinking, I'm referring to those activities of a leader that creates. For example, creating a vision, securing buy-in from others, creating a design for a new world, envisioning newer ways in which value can be created, delivered, sustained. These are some simple examples of activities wherein the leader is creating. And this is all part of the thinking facet of leadership action. The second facet of leadership action is those of leading, or you can just think of it as deciding or choosing. Now, this involves activities of leader that connects, that decides, that energizes the organization or the community of human beings around him or her. How do you influence? How do you create energy? How do you span boundaries? How are you being authentic and being inspirational to a larger group of human beings? Third aspect that you've got to think about is the doing aspect. And quite a bit of time, what I've seen is when it comes to any kind of solutions, any kind of ways of doing things to help leaders achieve goals, we tend to lose sight of this last aspect, which is the doing aspect. This is those activities of a leader that drives the actions of an organization. This is where rubber meets the road. This is where leaders figure how do we actually drive action in a time-bound manner or in a project-bound manner towards deliverables. How do I ensure that I have organization designed the right way? I have the goals well defined. I have the roles specified. I have ways in which we are tracking our progress. I have ways in which we are giving feedback. I have multiple elements, multiple practices that I'm actually putting into place that enables a team to achieve high performance day in and day out. These are the aspects of doing. This thinking, leading, doing is the unit of leadership goal achievement that we have to understand. Each leader has to work on if they want to continue to grow, if they want to continue to achieve goals in larger and more complex settings. As we are deploying or implementing our products, one of the key things that I see is many leaders are not aware of what do they need to do differently when it comes to thinking, leading, and doing. Sometimes the gaps are very obvious. This is where we think about this construct of leader identity. So we think about how and what kind of an identity a leader has about leadership itself, about themselves as a leader. And we also speak about what is that identity that they aspire to get to in the coming years. So thinking about a current identity as a leader and an aspirational identity as a leader gives them a very visual way of thinking about what needs to change from their current units of thinking, leading, and doing to what it needs to be like in order to achieve that expanded identity as a leader. We frame this journey that the leader must take as a identity expansion project. Leaders start to have a very clear view of this is how my thinking must shift and my thinking based activities must shift. This is how I need to take decisions differently. This is how I need to connect with my organization differently if I want to expand the activities associated with leading. And this is what I need to do in order for me to perhaps plug in the gaps associated with doing. So they start to anchor the expansion in thinking, leading, and doing to expansion in their leader identity. So we spoke about these two elements, one at a macro level about the expansion in thinking, leading, and doing, and at a micro level about the prepare, perform, and reflect cycles. It all sounds very intuitive. Perhaps it might even give you a sense that, oh, it's foolproof. The reality is very different. This thing is hard. Most leaders stumble their way through it, even the successful ones. So during a lot of my interactions with several leaders, successful leaders, what I've seen is they put in a lot of effort into really getting this micro level piece around prepare, perform, and reflect, that aspect down. And that helps them to have a constant wheel which powers the macro level stuff about expanding their leader identity. Now, this stuff that we are speaking about really just starts to look at leadership and goal achievement differently. And these are all part of a larger framework of how we believe leaders must perform in order for them to actually be successful, be effective in a ever growing and ever more complex environment that they need to lead in. So it's a very the master framework under which these practices, these frameworks fall in, has a very network-centric way or a view of leadership. It has a very network-centric way and view of thinking, leading, and doing that it looks at. And therefore, it is termed as networkship. So we believe networkship way is the new way of leadership and goal achievement for leaders. Today, we spoke about the expansion of leader identity, the thinking, leading, doing, as well as we spoke about the habit building at the ground level of prepare, perform, and reflect. There are several other components that come in together, and we'll speak about much more of networkship in the coming editions. Until then, take care of yourselves. Goodbye. Signing off for today.